Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First of all, with the great name of Almighty Allah, who is the most kind and merciful, my respectable teacher Sartaj Ahmad Sangi, and all my class fellows, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Zishan Ali Memo from Sindh University campus Ladkana. So today here is a presentation day. So my topic and subject of this presentation video is oral communication for final term video submitted to course instructor of this subject, Sir Sartaj Aman Sangi, the Department of BBA means Bachelor of Business Administration, and my roll number 56. And all are you know that all universities are closed due to pandemic COVID-19. So our campus decided to every student give online presentation videos for final term. So we make a video for final term. Now the contents of this presentation. So first of all, what is oral communication? And after that, here is second line mentioned what is communication process. And after that, here is mentioned in third line of this contents is a what is verbal and non-verbal communication. And here is the mentioned in the last contents of this presentation is what is speech anxiety. So and which tips of control on speech anxiety. So let's come we discuss these all contents one by one, so kindly see further more. Now what is oral communication? In simply we say that oral communication is the process of expressing information or ideas by word of mouth that we are called oral communication. In other words, we say that oral communication is the process of verbally transmitting information and ideas from one individual or otherwise in group to another, so that we are called oral communication. So oral communication can be either formal or informal, so that is a oral communication. Now we are taking here examples of informal oral communication. Includes number 1 to face conversations, and number 2 telephone conversations, and number 3 discussions that make place at business meetings. And now we are taking here examples of formal types of oral communication. Includes the number 1 presentations at business meetings, and number 2 the classroom lectures, and number 3 the commencement speeches given at the graduation ceremony, and etc. So that is all are the examples of informal and formal oral communications. Now the advantages of oral communication. So there are many advantages of oral communication. We are discuss here some main advantages of oral communication. So number 1, there is high level of understanding and transparency in oral communication as it is interpersonal. So number 2, there is no element of rigidity in oral communication. And number 3, there is flexibility for allowing changes in the decisions previously taken. So number 4 here, the feedback is a spontaneous in case of oral communication. Thus decision can be made quickly without any delay. So number 5 here, the oral communication is not only time saving, but it is also saves upon money and efforts. So number 6, oral communication is best in case of problem resolution. The conflicts, disputes and many issues or differences can be put to an end of by the taking them over. And number 7 are advantages of oral communication. So oral communication is an essential for teamwork and group energy. Number 8, oral communication promotes a receptive and encouraging moral among organizational employees. So here is number 9, oral communication can be best used to transfer private and confidential information or matter. So there are many situations in which it makes sense to choose oral or written communication. Oral communication is a more personal and less formal than right communication, than written communication. If time is limited and a business matter requires quick resolution, it may be the best to have a face-to-face or telephone conversations. There is also more flexibility in oral communication. You can discuss different aspects of an issue and make decisions more quickly than you can in writing. Oral communication can be especially effective in addressing conflicts or problems. Finally, oral communication is a great way to promote employee morale and maintain energy within a team. So that all those are the advantages of oral communication. Now the disadvantages of oral communication. So there are many disadvantages of oral communication, but we discuss some main disadvantages of oral communication. So here number 1, oral communications are not easy to maintain and thus they are unsteady. And number 2, there may be misunderstandings as the information is not complete and may lack essentials. And number 3, I mentioned oral communication such as a speech is not frequently used as a legal record except in investigation work. So, despite the many benefits of oral communication, there are times when written communication is more effective. For example, you may want to exchange important information that needs to be documented using written communication. A lot of transactions in the business world require some type of written record, and you will find that even strong verbal skills are not a substitute for putting things in writing. Additionally, oral communications tends to be less detailed and more subject to misunderstandings than written communication. It is the best always think carefully about which method of communication best fits your objective. So all these are the disadvantages of oral communication. Now communication process. So first of all, what is communication process? The communication is a dynamic process that begins with the conceptualizing of ideas by the sender, who then transmits the message through a channel to the receiver, who in turn gives the feedback in the form of some message or signal within the given time frame. So that we are called the oral communication process. And in other words, we say that communication may be defined as a process concerning exchanging of facts or ideas between persons holding different positions in an organization. To achieve mutual harmony, communication process as such must be considered a continuous and dynamic interaction, both affecting and being affected by many variables that we are called the communication process. So there are 7 major elements of communication process. We discuss about one by one simply. So number 1, here is mentioned the sender. So what is sender? The sender or the sender or communicator is the person who entitles the conservation and has a conceptualization the idea that he intends to convey it to others, that we are called the sender, or other words communicate. Now second number here is the encoding. What is encoding? The sender begins with the encoding process wherein he uses certain words or non-verbal methods such as symbols, signs, body gestures, etc. So to translate the information into a message that sender's knowledge, skill, perceptions, background, etc. has a great impact on the success of the message. So that is we are called the encoding. Now the number 3 here is mentioned the message. What is message? Once the encoding is finished, the sender gets the message that he intends to convey. The message can be written, oral, symbolic, or non-verbal, such as body gestures, silence, sighs, sounds, etc., or any other signal that triggers the response of a receiver, that we are called the message. Now number 4, here is the mentioned the channel. So what is channel? The sender choose the medium through which he wants to convey his message to the recipient. It must be selected carefully in order to make the message effective and correctly, and also on the urgency of the message being sent. Oral, visual, written, sound, gesture, etc. are some of the commonly used communication mediums that we are called a channel. Now the number 5th, receiver. What is receiver? The receiver is the person for whom the message is intended or targeted. He tries to comprehend it in the best possible manner such that the communication objective is attained. The degree to which the receiver decodes the message depends on his knowledge of the subject matter, experience, trust, and relationship with the sender, that we are called the receiver. Now the number 6 here is a mentioned to decoding. What is decoding? Here the receiver interprets the sender's message and tries to understand it in the best possible manner, that we are called the decoding. Now number 7, feedback. What is feedback? The feedback is the final step of the process that ensures the receiver has received the message and interpreted it correctly as it was intended by the sender. The response of the receiver can be verbal or non-verbal, that we are called the feedback. So now here's the inside, here's the mention the word noise. So and the noise shows the barriers of in the communication. There are chances when the message sent by the sender is not received by recipient, that we are called the noise. So that all are the communication process elements we discuss one by one in simple words. So hope will be clear and fine. Now the verbal and non-verbal communication. So first of all, what is verbal communication? The verbal communication refers to the production of the spoken language to send an intentional message to a listener. Verbal and non-verbal communication abilities are considered to represent a core deficit in the diagnosis of autism. Indeed, the presence of the fluent spoken language, that we are called the verbal communication. So in other simple words, we say that the verbal communication is perhaps the most obvious and understood mode of communication, and it is certainly a powerful tool in your communication toolbox. But put simply, verbal communication is a sharing the information between two individuals using words, that we are called the verbal communication. Now what is non-verbal communication? So non-verbal communication with active listening skills, we have previously discussed nodding, facial expressions, leaning towards the speaker to show interest. All of those are forms of non-verbal communication, and also called that the only 35% of our communication is verbal and 65% of it is non-verbal communication, so that we are called the non-verbal communication. Now here are some types of non-verbal communication and the effects they can have on the success of your communication. So these 4 types of non-verbal communication we read one by one simply. So here is the number 1 mentioned, the facial expression. Facial expressions are happy, sad, angry, help you convey your message. Be aware of your facial expressions when you talk, and particularly when you are listening, which is when it's easy to forget, that we are called the facial expressions. Now the number 2 is gestures. When you speak, a gesture can make your message stronger. Pointing out something you want your listener to look at more closely is an example of nonverbal communication that makes your message understood. So, such gestures help further engage your audience when you speak. So, that we are called the gestures. Now, the number third, the eye contact, making and maintaining eye contact with an audience. When you are verbally communicating or listening, communicates to the other party that you are interested and engaged in the conversation. Good eye contact often conveys the trait of honesty to the other party that we are called the eye contact. Now, number fourth and last type of non-verbal communication, appearance. Your clothing, hair, and jewelry or appearance are also a part of non-verbal communication. Similarly, the quality and condition of your clothing, how it fits, if it's appropriate for the season, all of these things speak non-verbally about you as a communicator, so that we are called the appearance. So that all these types of non-verbal communications. Now, speech anxiety. First of all, what is speech anxiety? Most people experience some level of speech anxiety when they have to speak in front of a group. In fact, public speaking is a many people's greatest favor. Speech anxiety means nervous when you are going to presentations. Speech anxiety can range from a slight feeling of nervous so to a nearly fear. Some of the most common symptoms of speech anxiety are shaking, sweating, butterflies in the stomach, dry mouth, rapid heartbeat, and voice. So that all are the speech anxiety. Experiencing speech anxiety is normal. Nearly everyone gets nervous when they have to give a speech or otherwise presentation, even experienced speakers. This is very rarely the case. Think about situation where you have been an audience member. Did you want the speaker to fail? Probably not. In fact, we are usually quite supportive of the speakers and may even feel bad for them if they stumble or over a word or lose their train of thought that we are called the speech anxiety. Anxiety decreases as a speech progressive. Speech anxiety is usually worst right before a speech and at the beginning of the speech. Most people find that once they get through the introduction, their anxiety begins to the decrease and confidence increases. So that we are called the speech anxiety. Now the tips for dealing with the speech anxiety before the speech. So some tips we are tell about speech anxiety. So which tips we learn and improve the speech anxiety? Identify the cause of your nervousness, and number second, write down the reasons why you are nervous to give a speech or presentation and work on. So number three, choose topics that you are interested in. And number fourth, we do not always get to choose to topics that we speak about. If you are able to choose your topic, pick one that interests you. Number 5, prepare your speech early and thoroughly. And number 6, having to prepare a speech at the last minute will only increase your anxiety. And number 7, after you are prepared your speech, practice and practice delivering your speech at least 7 to 10 minutes before your actual presentation or speech. So number 8, be sure that you know the organization of your main points to avoid losing your place. And number 9, watch yourself in the mirror while you are delivering your speech. Thus will allow you to see your gestures and body language and practice making eye contact. You can also give your speech to friends or family members. Ask them for feedback. Set realistic expectations. No one is perfect. And number 11, replace negative thoughts with positive ones and visualize success. And number 11, thinking negative thoughts increases anxiety. When a negative thought comes to mind, try to immediately replace it with your positive thoughts. And number 12, the continue gaining experience. One of the best way to combat speech anxiety is gain speaking experiences. And number 13, here take any opportunity that you have to speak in public. Speak in your classes or volunteer to give presentations for a group. You are involved in anything that gives you a chance to polish your speaking skills. So that all are the tips for dealing with the speech anxiety before the presentation or speech. So now tips for dealing with the speech anxiety on the day of speech. So exercising on the day of speech can help reduce anxiety and stress. Use relaxation techniques. Simple relaxation techniques lessen anxiety and allow them to focus on the task at the hand. Accept fear and use it. Accept the fact that you are nervous and use that nervous energy to enhance your delivery. So number fourth, remember even the best speakers get nervous, but they use it to their benefit. Wear clothes that you feel confident in. Most of us have a few outfits that we are feel particularly comfortable and confident in the clothes. Find friendly faces in the crowd while you are speaking. Find one or two people in the audience that are giving you positive feedback. When you feel nervous, make eye contact with those people. Their friendly faces will give you encouragement. Find ways to hide your anxiety. If your mouth goes dry, be sure to bring a glass of water with you when you speak. So if your hands shake, use gesture that mask the shaking. So we are discuss all the about the speech anxiety and the tips before speech and on the day of speech. So all are the tips of the speech anxiety. That's all. Thank you for watching my presentation video. If any question, then write a comment on below my YouTube channel.